Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is the video version of my Tech Guy podcast. You're about to see the best of two shows. Episodes 773 and 774 from Saturday and Sunday, May 28th and 29th, 2011. Please enjoy. Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it is the first Tech Guy show of June 2011, episode 775. Well, a continuing kind of series over the last 7 years, trying to figure out what the heck is going on in the world of tech. What the heck is going on in the world of tech? Now, if you've got a question or something you'd like to ask about or talk about, I'd love to hear from you. You could just call us. You know, the phone number is, it's easy to remember. We have a special, easy to remember, mnemonic phone number. Not demonic, mnemonic phone number. 8888 Ask Leo. See how easy that is to remember? Like the just 88 keys on a piano, right? So just imagine a piano and then another piano and then Ask Leo. 88. See? Now it's burned into your mind. They do say, you know, I think one of the reasons that there are 10 numbers, area code plus 7, in our phone number is that research shows that the most numbers we can easily recall at a time is 10. That's not that easy, is it? Try to remember your phone number. Or when you're taking an answering machine message. Okay, remember this. 888-827-5536. Remember that? No. But they do say that 10 numbers are some sort of magic. There are magic numbers in the human mind. 10 numbers is the most we can easily hold in our head. That's why it's 10 numbers for the phone system. That and the fact that with 10 digits, you can reasonably get a phone number for every person in the country. And even more so, right? What is 10 digits? It's 888-827-5536. What is that? That's I don't know what it is. It's a lot of numbers. It's a lot. It's a lot of phone numbers. 8888 Ask Leo. The most. Okay, now BB in the chat room saying no. The study shows the most number of distinct items one can remember is usually between 7 and 10. Okay, so what isn't that not what I just said? Items could be numbers. They could be things. The other number that is bruited about a lot in the tech world is the Dunbar number. Kind of a debate going on right now over the Dunbar. You know what the Dunbar number is? The Dunbar number is the theoretical limit of the number of people you can have as friends. Like you could say, really, I know those people. They could be work people. They could be your neighborhood. They could be your tribe. But the theoretical number, do you know what that number, the Dunbar number is? Before I tell you, what would you guess is the kind of the maximum number the human brain could kind of understand and grok and know? It's the theoretical cognitive limit. I'm going to give you the exact definition before I give you the number. The theoretical cognitive limit to the number of people with whom one can maintain stable social relationships. Here, that's a good social scientist definition. British anthropologist Robin Dunbar, he theorized that, quote, this limit is a direct, I probably said it in a British accent, this limit is a direct function of relative neocortex size, and that this in turn limits group size, the limit imposed by neocortical processing capacity, simply the number of individuals with whom a stable interpersonal relationship can be maintained. So the chat room's got all sorts of numbers there. 3.14159, no. 0. Dr. Mom is obviously a misanthrope. 100. That's a good guess.
Zuckerberg says 5,000.
Mark Zuckerberg says 5,000. Right. That's how many friends you can have. That's right, Kyle. That's how many friends you can have in the Facebook. Dunbar never said an exact number, but somewhere between 100 and 230. The commonly used value is 150. That's what when we say the Dunbar number. That's what we're thinking, 150. And the theory is if you have more than, let's say on Facebook, how many friends do you have on Facebook? I have almost 300, I think. It's made me think of this. I was looking at my Facebook compadres have blossomed. I have way too many friends now. How many Facebook friends do you have? How many people can you keep track of reasonably? And does 150 make sense now in this connected world? Or do you have stable social relations with all the people you know on Facebook? Maybe that would be the other question. Maybe Dunbar would say, well, yes, you certainly you'll have more friends on Facebook. But after all, it doesn't tell you, how many stable social relations I have with them. 299 is how many friends I have. So I'm doubling the Dunbar. Now he says this is just the brain. So it doesn't, it wouldn't be changed by technology. He did this fairly recently, in 1992. Dunbar used the correlation observed for non-human primates. So he looked at monkeys, and he predicted a human mean group size of 148. 148. Any more than that, he says, you can't keep track. Your brain, your neocortex can't keep track. He says surveys of village and tribe sizes in primitive societies, about 150. Any more than that, they'd split off another group, right? Group would leave. Grok would take his, people with him. It's too crowded here. I have to start a new tribe. And then they'd start a new tribe, and they'd get to 150. And then Akmak, he would take his group off, or she would take her group off. He wrote a great book, by the way, which I have read and love, called Grooming, Gossip, and the Evolution of Language, which I highly recommend. Robin Dunbar. So what do you think? The Dunbar number, does that make sense to you? How many friends do you have on Facebook? Is it possible that technology changes that? Of course, in primitive societies, there were other reasons why a village or a tribe would only get to 150. There were probably, limits on how much food production an area could support and all of that stuff. And cities certainly got bigger than that. But it's been observed that even if you live in a city or in a massive group, or you have a bunch of coworkers, that it always seems to come down to your group is never more than 150 people. The people you know at work. In fact, in a lot of industrial enterprises, they create groups of workers that are smaller than the overall size. I know that at the Ford plant, when we visited the Ford plant at the Rouge plant in Dearborn, they have smaller teams because you can care. The theory being, I think, that you can care about a smaller group of people. You can't care about all 15,000 people working in a factory, but you can care about 150 of them and kind of back them. What is I'm sure in the armed forces, same thing, right? There's a unit. Isn't there? There's a unit that your unit, and you care about them, and you die for them. What is that number? And maybe we have to, as Dr. Mom suggests, redefine what friend means in the Facebook era, because if it's more than 150, well, who are those people? Who are those other folks that we know? And how many people do you follow? I follow, I think, many people, like 1,500 people on Twitter. Now, I wouldn't say I have a relationship with those people. Those are people I listen to. So that's different, isn't it? Is an acquaintance count? No, I think these are people that you have a relationship with. That I don't know if acquaintance, I don't know. That's an interesting question. And does technology change what the inherent limits of our brain are? That's really the question I'm asking. Are our brains changing because of the technology we've surrounded ourselves with? Some people suspect that maybe our attention span is shortening because, of YouTube and television, fast cut. You watch MTV. The kids love the They love the MTV and how fast that cuts, right? What do you think? Can you remember this number? 8888 Ask Leo. Give me a ring. We'll talk about it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Now that's good. Okay, that looks good there. And now, can't win.
1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9.
Are you going to count all the way to 150?
10.
Apparently.
10, 9, 8.
Oh, going backwards now. Aren't you smart?
7, 6, 5.
You can remember all those numbers.
4, 3, 2. 1.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you, Kyle, once again with the most germane music. Speaking of Facebook, somebody in the chat room passed this article along to me. At first, I thought this is The Onion, but it's not. It's from Digital Trends and Yahoo News. Andrew Coutts writing. Radio and television news anchors in France are no longer allowed to say the words Facebook or Twitter on the air. Now, you might like this idea. Unless the terms are part of a news story prohibiting French news organizations, the government has done this, French government has done this, from urging their audience to, let's say, follow us on the Twitter or check out our Facebook page. I guess there was a governmental decree in 1992 preventing the promotion of commercial enterprises on news programs. French government very involved in things like this. Le France Conseil supérieur de l'audiovisuel spokesperson Christine Kelly says, "Why give preference to Facebook, which is worth billions of dollars, when..." She said dollars, not francs. Billions of dollars, when there are many other social networks that are still struggling for recognition. Completely unclear on the concept, I guess. Yeah, but you see, you don't... When you say follow us on Facebook, you're saying, I admit it. I mean, I wish I could say follow me on Diaspora, but nobody knows what that is or cares. This would be a distortion of competition. If we allow Facebook or the Twitter to be cited on air, it is opening a Pandora's box. Other social networks will complain to us, saying, pourquoi pas? Why not us? Yeah. Okay. I mean, what are you going to say? I can't imagine. Can you imagine the federal government saying to CNN, hey, by the way, you can't say follow us on Twitter anymore? What? That would be commercial promotion. We cannot allow promotion. We'll talk about Windows 8. Lots to say about that. Actually, I'd be very curious what you think about that coming up. And a whole lot more. But I want to get to the phones and find out what you want to talk about. Because really, I could blather on and on. But it's really what you're interested in that matters. Dennis is in Marina Del Rey. Hello, Dennis.
Oh, Leo, I hope you're able to help me. I got my first phone. I actually had my first mobile phone back in January of 1960. And I've finally gotten a phone that does what I want it to. It's a Droid X.
Oh, I love that phone. Yeah.
Loved it up until yesterday, but I know you talk about Carbonite, which is a great product, but I would encourage everybody to back up your cell phones as well.
Oh, yeah, you bet. Now, one of the nice things about Android is it does have a backup built in, and, of course, because you're syncing with the Google services, you can never lose your phone book or your calendar. When you log into your new phone, it will automatically add that, as long as you're syncing with Google. I guess you don't have to do that, but you should. And it will restore your applications. And then there are third-party backup applications as well on the Android platform. What happened to you?
Okay, I upgraded to 233.
Gingerbread.
Yeah, so I thought, what I should have done is to wait. But what I did is I went ahead and updated, and it looked great at first, and all of a sudden programs started quit working. One of them is a great program called Folder Organizer, and then all of the folders I created lost their labels. Then the next thing I had was a journal in there called My Day, and I couldn't access the information that said you have to use a passcode, and I've never used a passcode for that before. I have another program in there called something money safe or password safe. I can't access the information in there. I do have a backup program, and I have read some reviews after I bought it. I hope it works. It's called My Backup Pro.
Yeah, that's a good program.
So I'm just wondering, and they tell me I can't go backwards. I can't go to the previous version of the operating system, that if I reboot it and do all that, reset it, I have to go to the current. So what's your advice on what I should do and how I should do it?
I just did a quick search, and I do see news stories. Motorola Droid X gingerbread update bricks several phones. Some people are reporting bricking. That is not what you're having. That what a bricking is that the phone won't turn on after the update. I mean, anytime you do an operating system update, there's always that risk, whether it's a desktop or the phone. I don't know. I'm trying to see if this is a widespread problem, or if it's you'd expect it to happen to some phones.
Well, the other thing it's doing is starting to play music, out of the blue from Audio Galaxy, and it's actually trying to do something with, I think it's DLNA, and trying to open that up. And
yeah, I think it's possible. You just when you update an operating system in place, sometimes stuff breaks. So it's possible it just was a bad update. What I would do if I were you is I'd kind of start over. So there is in the settings, in the About My Phone, or maybe it's in security, there is a reset command that just resets the phone.
Right.
Deleting all your data and everything. I would do that. It's harmless to do it because you've got a backup.
Right. Is there a better backup program? Because I know that the data is still there.
I'm not sure you want to do a backup right now, to be honest with you, because you don't want to back up what's messed up. So I think what you hope is you have a good backup from before your upgrade. What I would do is wipe the phone. Don't put anything on it yet. Don't log in or anything. Just wipe the phone and then do the software update to Gingerbread. You do want Gingerbread. It's going to improve your battery life. It's going to be faster. It is a good upgrade.
Okay. One other quick question. I don't know. It doesn't show that My Backup Pro saves voicemail messages, but I have a message, and for legal reasons, they call me and gave me some information, so I have to save that.
Where you're on Verizon, right?
Right.
Do you use Verizon for your voicemail?
Yeah, I don't ever call in because the system, but it is Verizon voicemail.
Okay, so it's still on the Verizon system. Resetting the phone shouldn't affect that.
Good. Okay.
If you were using Google Voice, you can say, instead of Verizon, I want to use Google Voice. Same thing. It would be saved on the Google Voice servers. I don't think there's any case. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat room. I don't think there's any case where the only copy of your voicemail is on your phone. I don't think that's the case, so I wouldn't worry about that. You might, if you want to be sure, I would call Verizon and say, "Hey, I'm not going to lose anything, am I?" What you will lose is, any customizations, and you'll have to re-log in. Have you been syncing with Google Calendar and Google
Yeah. All the time. I probably do it at least once a day.
Yeah, well, it should do it automatically. So you're not going to lose. I think you'll be kind of impressed. I think if you reset the phone, in other words, it wipes out everything, all your data and everything, do the Gingerbread update, and then before you do anything else, I would just play with the phone, see that everything's working. Then it's very possible that one of the apps you had installed is causing a problem. That's not unusual on Android. Or it was just a bad upgrade. So what I would do is start over. And then once you've got a working upgrade, then log into your Google account. That'll restore your phone. This is all going to take minutes. Restore your phone numbers and your calendar. And then slowly add apps. I think you're going to be fine. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. TechGuyLabs.com. And right there, right on the front page of that there attractive, I say that sarcastically, website, you will find the phone number. You'll also find a link on the left to our chat room. Lovely place. Really do enjoy it. Highly moderated, so it's safe for the whole family. Usually pretty busy, about 659 people in there right now. You'll also find links to the live video, so you can watch my mouth move in sync with what I'm saying. Tips and, of course, show notes for every show, including today's show, 775. So really, you don't have to remember the phone number. Just remember the website, techguylabs.com. TWiT.com. And then James DeRuvo, who's writing everything down as I speak, will put everything in there so you don't have to write anything down. Rob in Vacaville, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Rob.
Oh, hi, Leo.
You're on the air. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I think I'm a little nervous.
Don't be nervous. It's just us. Just us kids. Nobody else is listening.
How many followers do you have right now?
On Twitter? You mean in the real world? I have 150 friends. Does that number make sense to you, Jerry? That notion that you could only really keep track of in your neocortex about 150 people. How many people do you know online? Is it more than that?
Me?
Well, I'm Rob. I said Jerry. I meant Rob. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not super social that way.
Yeah.
My Facebook thing, I keep it down to 50, and actually that's probably more than I really know really well.
I think that's good. I think that's healthy. I think those of us who have embraced the digital era a little too heartily are suffering from overload. You know, I get too many emails. I have too much stuff flying at me on Facebook and Twitter, and you can't absorb it all, and you get very scattered. I think it's possible.
I had a Facebook feed on my BlackBerry, and I got overload. It was too much information, what people had for dinner last night.
Right.
So I just cut that out.
Right. Even with 50 friends.
Yeah. Could be.
I think that I think it kind of makes you nuts, and I think in the long run, I may end up. You might hear someday, well, the Tech Guy show is over. We got a gardening show here because Leo has decided to disconnect from the world and become a monk. Because I think don't you crave that every once in a while? I just want to turn off all that stuff, peace and quiet.
Miss you though.
Well, I'll keep doing it. And this is the other side. This is the dark side of it. I'm totally addicted. I can't get up in the morning without checking my feeds and seeing what my friends had for breakfast. My phony friends that I've never met who didn't care a lick about me. Anyway, enough of that, Rob. What can I do for you?
Well, I've got an old BlackBerry that works, but I sort of would like a new phone and a new smartphone, and I'll tell you a couple twists that apply to me. Even though I'm shy, I'm a healthcare provider, so I need something that's very secure.
Yes.
And I also sync it with a laptop. I use Microsoft Office, and that hard drive's encrypted and all that jazz. So I'm wondering whether I need to stay with my old BlackBerry or whether I could go to an Android or an iPhone and keep my data very secure with patient appointments and such. And I wanted to know what you think about that.
You need your phone to be HIPAA compliant.
Yes, I do.
Does the law require? I guess if you're getting patient emails on there and you're keeping patient records on there, it would have to be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't have too much in the way of emails because I discourage my patients from doing that, but just their names and their addresses and all that information. I'm looking
at our chat room. We have another doc in there, Dr. Mom, and she pays attention to this stuff. She says HIPAA apparently has never considered the use of handhelds. She says she talked to him years ago, and there are no standards. However, having said that, I think you're right to be concerned. Regardless of what the law requires, you as a responsible healthcare provider have some standards. So I do think BlackBerry is more secure. They certainly have paid attention to security. It's used in government and industry. Now, we've seen hacks. We've seen the BlackBerry enterprise server be hacked. We've even seen governments, such as the Indian government, demand that BlackBerry give them the keys to the server because they don't like it that people can do stuff securely without government oversight. So there is some question about how thoroughly private a BlackBerry is. I think Apple has paid good attention to security. I think Android has paid none. So if you wanted to rank them in terms of privacy and security, I'd say BlackBerry, iPhone, and then way down the list, Android.
Is the information on the iPhone, is that able to be encrypted?
It is, but there have been many leaks.
People can't access that information?
In theory, but we've learned that they can.
Ouch.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's part of the problem is that what we're finding out is that when handhelds are a target of attack, they're not nearly as secure as the companies that make them have promised. And that they've only recently been the target of attack. Since you like BlackBerry and you're happy with BlackBerry, I would suggest if you can survive a couple more months, the new BlackBerry 9900 or 9930, depending on what features you want, is very nice. Very nice. But it won't be out till this fall.
Does that still have the?
It's got a key.
The small screen?
It's got a keyboard. So you still have your BlackBerry keyboard, but it has a touch screen as well. Now there aren't as many apps for BlackBerries as there are for the iPhone or Android phone. So I don't know if your app.
The small screen's a little hard on my old eyes.
And it is a smaller screen. You're right. It's not. It's a kind of black. It looks very much like the Curve. Probably looks a lot like the BlackBerry you have right now. So, but it's a much faster processor. It's got a better camera, although camera is a security problem as well, isn't it? I would say that you probably find, if you want a bigger screen, an easier, more legible screen, you'd find with the iPhone. If you lost your phone, the nice thing about the iPhone, really this is the real risk is you having some patient information on your phone, like their names and addresses, and losing it. And so what you do with any phone, and including the iPhone, is you lock it so that somebody can't just casually turn it on and see. And then further, the iPhone allows you to turn on some useful features that will help you. For instance, you can turn on a feature that says if somebody tries to guess the password 10 times, wipe the phone, which is good. And you can also wipe it remotely with Find My iPhone. So if you lose your phone, you could press a button on your computer that says erase that phone, which I think is then a very good additional security.
And if I have the phone locked with a password, is the data inside encrypted?
Yeah, well, theoretically, yes. The real question is theory versus practice. I'm not convinced that it's unhackable, but how would they get into it? In other words, they can't just plug it in and get around your passcode.
Okay.
So in that sense, yes, it's protected. Lots of physicians use iPhones now.
Sell it.
I wouldn't be afraid of the iPhone, but I would also be sensible about security in general, whatever phone you're using. Hey, thanks for the call, Rob. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We do talk about cell phones. Last two calls are about cell phones, but also computers and the internet. Anything with a chip in it, anything digital. I have to say that all the action is in the tablet and the cell phone, in the mobile space, right? Carrying these things around. This is where all the innovation is happening. And now Microsoft's Windows 8, they showed it a couple of different places. One at a Taiwanese computer conference called Computex, big show for hardware manufacturers. And then, what's his first name? David Sinofsky? Peter Sinofsky? Fred Sinofsky? What's Sinofsky's first name? That nobody remembers. Anyway, Sinofsky was speaking at the All Things Digital Conference, D9, and did a big exposition on Windows 8. He's the guy in charge of Windows 8 and has a lot of respect from the developer community, from the Windows... Steven Sinofsky. Thank you, Nicholas. From the aficionado community. And so I think everybody's very happy that Sinofsky is working on Windows 8. But it's interesting. This will be a very big difference. As different as, let's say, Windows 95 was from Windows 3.1. Because it's a touch interface. What they've done is they've still got Windows, and it'll look a lot, I think Windows 8 will look a lot like Windows 7 under the hood. So if you run Microsoft Office or Excel or one of the, kind of old school Windows programs, Windows will be there with a start menu and all of that stuff. And right now it looks like Windows 7. Of course, they'll probably mess around with it a little bit before it comes out next year. So it may not look like Windows 7 by that time. But right now, it's Windows 7. But then on top of it, instead of the traditional Explorer, which is what Microsoft calls the user interface for the desktop, They've got this new thing, which is very Windows Phone looking, very tiley and touch, and you swipe things around. You can move things over to the side. And it coexists with, so you have Microsoft Excel running, and you could swoop it over to the side and have the tiles. And it's a very different looking user interface and very much influenced by Apple. In fact, that's one of the things that I took away from all of this is how much Apple, with the iOS, the iPhone, and the iPad, has influenced computing and how people think about user interfaces. Huge. Now, Apple themselves have said, we're not going to do a touch screen on a desktop or a laptop because who wants to hold their arm out that long? And Microsoft, Sanofsky did show that you could use the mouse or the keyboard to do the swiping. But, you know, frankly, when you have a touch interface, using a mouse or keyboard to do it is not desirable. So it'll be interesting to see whether people just kind of slide those tiles out of the way and start using their mouse and keyboard and use Windows as normal. Or whether they really want that tiled interface and the swiping and the swooping and the pinching and the zooming. I do, in one respect, I absolutely commend Microsoft for saying, let's rethink this. Let's reconsider what a desktop operating system should be like, should work like. That kind of thinking should happen all the time, and not for marketing purposes. Not to say, oh, you got to buy a new version because we've modified it, and now you don't want the old version, you want the new. But really, for genuine reasons, for reasons of making it easier to use and more effective. And we'll see if it's that. I think it's hard for us to know, frankly, until we sit down and use it. But I commend them for trying, for doing something. Windows 8. We don't even know if they're going to call it Windows 8. We don't even know when it'll come out. We'll probably see, I would guess, early public betas by the end of this year, and a release sometime around a year from now, middle of 2012. And whether it'll be called Windows 8, no one knows. I hope it's called Windows 8. That would be a nice logical name, but Microsoft's not notorious for picking logical names for their operating systems. It looks good. I'd love to hear what you think about it. For those of you who saw it, you can go to Microsoft.com/presspass, and they've got a lot of videos online, so you can get a good look at it. Microsoft.com/presspass. Apple on Monday is going to be announcing their new operating system, OS X Lion, showing it. They'll also show iOS 5. So it's kind of there. It's this tick-tock, isn't it? Apple does something, then the other guys do something, then the Apple does something, then the other guys do something. It's this tick-tock. We've heard the tick. Let's hear the talk. I don't think you're certainly not going to see any big changes in Lion based on what Microsoft has done. It's it's kind of fully baked anyway. And I think Apple is eschewing the idea of turning their desktop into a tablet. That's why they have two different operating systems, OS X and iOS, and I don't think they want to merge them particularly. However, we do know that Lion will have some features that look a little bit like Windows 8, full screen, for instance. Many apps, if not eventually all apps, will run in a full screen mode that eliminates anything else. You know, the app takes over, just as an app takes over on the iPad or the iPhone, it becomes the full system. You know, you don't see any operating system stuff when you're running an app on the iPad, and that's apparently where they're going to go with OS X Lion. Apple also will announce, they've told us for the first time I can ever remember, they put out a press release saying this is what we're going to talk about. They have told us they will also announce something called the iCloud. And I don't know if this is a replacement for the iCloud. Is that a replacement for Mobile Me? We're pretty sure it's a music system, among other things. So this will be interesting. We'll find out on Monday. But I'll talk about that a little later on in the show too. What my speculation is. We're going to get back to the phones in just a second. Jay in Woodland Hills wants to go to boot camp, I guess, and wants to know if Skype is a good choice. Another Jay in Van Nuys wants to know, how do I know my antivirus is doing anything? That's a good question. Jay in Van Nuys, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jay.
Well, hi there. I'm so glad to get hold of you.
Thanks for calling.
Well, you advertise that Nod 32, and I like it a lot. I think I just don't know if it's working.
That's actually one of the reasons I like Nod 32, because it doesn't get in the way. Some of these other antivirus solutions, they're there because they stop you from doing things. They slow you down. They're very annoying and intrusive. And the reason I use Nod 32 is because it really gets out of the way. Yes, it's working. You could see it in the system tray. You could see the little icon there.
Right. Well, let me explain. The one reason I went to the Nod 32 was because I had the McAfee, and not only was my computer really slow running, but then I clicked on, they had some photo that I was looking at, or I wanted to look at a photo.
Hold on just a second, because I have to take a break, but we'll come back to you first thing after the local news, okay? And then I'll hear the story. Thank you, Jay. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this. Apple doesn't want people who are more than fair. Apple wants people who love it. Well, a good day to you, Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy, hour number 2 of the Tech Guy Show, episode 775 on this 4th day of June 2011. 8888 Ask Leo, that's my phone number if you want to call. Love to hear from you, 888-827-5536. Of course, you'll find all of that information, all the show notes and more at our website, techguylabs.com. You'll also find a link to our great chat room. Lovely people in there, and video, and a whole lot more. All the shows, too. Every show we've done for the last 7 years. TechGuyLabs.com. Now, I hated to do it, but I had to interrupt Jay in Van Nuys. I hope he's still on the line. You still there, Jay?
Hi, I'm back here.
Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. We were talking about your antivirus. You went from a bloated McAfee to the lightweight Nod 32, and now you're concerned it's not working.
Well, yeah, everything just moves so fast now. You move faster.
Isn't that funny? It's just so funny. Yeah, I mean, first of all, disclaimer: they're an advertiser. But this was one of the reasons they're an advertiser is because I was singing the praises of this product years before they started advertising, and they heard me and they said, "Well, we really should buy ads," because I had the same reaction, which is, "Wow, I didn't know I could have an antivirus running in the background and still use my machine."
Yeah. The thing is, I clicked on it. What motivated me was I clicked on a picture, and all of a sudden, all this stuff started coming up, and then a big screen came up and said Trojan virus, this and that virus. Download this now, and it looked like they were spoofing a McAfee site or
yes,
something.
they were, and that is a very well known ploy, and it happens on Macs now too. And I take it your radar went off and you didn't do it.
That's right. As soon as I saw that, I knew something was going on. And when it downloaded so quickly, when it just popped up and boom, 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 boom.
It's not doing anything. That's just a window. It's not actually doing. The reason it looks so fast, it ain't doing anything. That's an animated GIF.
I see.
It looks the same on everybody's machine. It's an animated GIF. So
something else happened though earlier, where even though I have McAfee, somehow somebody hacked into my contacts list and sent stuff to all my friends saying, for Viagra ads stuff.
Yeah.
And so
we've had that call too, and one way that it happens is not a compromise on your system, but on your email system.
Oh, so it wasn't like they hacked into my computer.
No, they could have easily hacked your email system. Do you use internet mail, or you use your internet service provider's mail?
I guess it's Yahoo.
This happens all the time on Yahoo Mail. So your job number one, I hope you did this by now, but if not, is to change your Yahoo password.
Well, I hadn't actually done it. I haven't had the problem since.
No, change your password. They have your password.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I'll...
That's how they did it. And change it to something that is long and annoying.
It is, and not only that, it's hard to remember all the passwords.
Yeah, long, hard to remember, annoying. That means it's good. I'll tell you in a second after we finish your immediate concern. I'll tell you how to do that in a way that you can remember it, but is effective, because there are some solutions for that. But So but I do want to cover this pop-up because it happens. It's just a pop-up. You've seen other pop-ups. You've seen pop-up ads before, right? That's all that is. What happens is the bad guy either hacks a site, actually almost always is hacked a website, and then puts some code on that site without the knowledge of the guy who's running the site that does that pops up the window. So you get it when you're surfing around.
Yeah.
An antivirus isn't going to block that, and this is the challenge of writing an antivirus, is the balance between total security and total inconvenience. We can make you totally secure, but you're going to hate us. Because, for instance, an antivirus could block all pop-ups. But you don't want that. You don't want the antivirus starting to interfere with how you surf the net. What you want it to do, and this is what a good antivirus would do, is when you click that link to say download the, quote, virus protection, which a lot of people do, it would say, whoa, hold on, that's not what you think it is. That's when it should interfere.
Yeah, that would be great. Unfortunately, the way these things tend to work, and I've heard nowadays they suck people in by making them pop up.
Exactly. It's what we call social engineering. Yeah. My friend Kevin Mitnick, who is a convicted hacker, a top hacker out there, wrote a whole book on social engineering. And it is the most effective way to hack. It's not technical. It's not, how do I brute force crack your password? It's how do I talk you into giving me your password? How do I trick you? And if you look nowadays, almost all the effective malware exploits involve tricking you.
So, can I have another two more quick questions.
Sure.
One of them is, I bought Windows XP Professional about 2.5 years ago and never loaded it in. And I'm just wondering, is that like they don't support it anymore?
No, they do support it. You'll install it and you'll get Service Pack 3 on there, and they support everything from Service Pack 3 on, and they'll support that for a few more years.
Well,
it is old. It is old. I mean, now we're talking Windows 8, which is 3 versions later than XP.
I just said I spent like $600. I think it charged me because they told me I couldn't have more than one loaded onto a computer, so I had to buy 2.
Oh yeah, you can't use one copy of Windows on multiple computers. That's right.
Right, which I find really I know why they do it, but it's an aggravation and.
Well, they want you to pay for each and every copy of Windows you use. That's how they do. That's how they do it.
A couple other things is that I also have a copy of AutoCAD, which is registered on my laptop, but I no longer have the registration number, so I can't. Then that is the same thing. That version in 2000, I think it was 2004, could be moved from computer to computer.
Yeah, they changed that. Yeah, they locked that down.
So now it's like if I lose this copy, I can't load it onto another computer because I don't have the registration number.
If you think your system is in good shape, like you don't have any infections, which it sounds like you're in good shape, you might want to just run the Microsoft Safety Scanner real quickly just to make sure there's nothing on there. This is a new tool that Microsoft just offered for free. That it's not a replacement for an antivirus, but it does give you already have NOD32. You run this just to say, hey, is my system clean? If it is, then I would make a image of your drive that includes the AutoCAD, because you could restore that image and your AutoCAD will continue working. The program I would suggest using, there are a number of programs to do that drive image. We used to talk about Norton Ghost and all of that. But there are a number of good programs. Ease US makes a great program to do that. Drive Image XML does that. There's a program called Clonezilla. Clonezilla is a little harder to use because Clonezilla, you have to make a boot disk. But there's an advantage to doing that. You make a boot CD, and then it will then make an image of your hard drive. That image can be restored in minutes. And it's I think a very good idea, a very good practice to have an image of your hard drive that's clean and working. So that's faster than installing Windows again, right? You just blast that image back onto the hard drive, and it has an additional advantage because that image includes all your apps, including that AutoCAD. and it will continue to run. Clonezilla is good. It's a little trickier to use because you have to burn a CD, but there's an advantage to doing that. You will boot up to the CD and then blast the image, and so there's. I think this is a good way to go, and it's free, totally free. Works on all operating systems, including Windows. Hey, thanks for the call. I appreciate it, Jay. Glad we could solve those issues. Be aware if you see those pop-ups. Be skeptical. Be a cynic. It's okay. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I take you to Disneyland, home of the Gizwiz himself, Dick D. Bartolo. Hello, Dickie D.
Leo, how you doing, pal?
Very well. Mad Magazine's maddest writer and our gadget expert.
I am both of those.
Both of them. Both of them. And many people don't know this, but an avid boater and writer for boating magazines.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm here today with my gadget is the new Droid X2.
Oh, man. So jealous.
Come on. It's been out for a week, and you don't have one?
I had a Droid X, and I loved it. Now, I haven't seen the X2. Tell me all about it.
Oh, okay. So the X2, if you look at them side by side, you'll never tell the difference. Once you know the X2 is a little bit darker, the X2 has a new Gorilla Glass screen, so much less reflective. But the two big changes. The X2 has the NVIDIA dual core, 1 gigabyte processor. And it has new resolution now. The piece of junk that you own now.
Yeah, the old 4.3-inch screen. Yeah.
No, the screens are the same, but resolution on yours is 480 by 554, and the new phone is 540 by 690.
Wow.
The resolution's up by 26%. Pretty much, Leo, everything else is the same. It uses the same camera, the same 720p HD video, mini HD MI out. And one strange thing is they've taken the dedicated camera button away. So now the camera is menu driven.
Now, this is Verizon only.
Verizon, yes. I believe it was May 26th that it arrived in the stores. I only got mine yesterday, so I really haven't gotten to play with it. But I do love the resolution of the
What
screen.
have you been using wrong before? Wrong. What have you been using right before? You're not an iPhone guy. I know that much.
No, I'm not. You know what? The reason I want to have a Droid device is exactly the same reason you have everything. My iPod Touch is great, so when people says, hey, here's a great iPhone app, almost 90% of them work on the iPod Touch.
Right.
So I also wanted to have a Droid device, and I was using the Droid X. And quite frankly, it was on a loan, and they said, could you send that back? And I said, I test apps on it. And they said, okay, well, you know what? We'll lend you an X2 for a while.
Okay.
So
$200 if you're signing up for a new 2-year Verizon account.
Or you're re-upping your old plan because that's what they did.
Otherwise, I'm sure these are fairly expensive. But I really liked my old Droid X. It sounds like a nice improvement.
Yeah. What are you using now, then? You said your old Droid X.
I lent my Droid X to Lisa because she was interested in getting a new phone, and she left it in a cab at New York City. By the way, I understand there's quite
that's why you have to sell bricks. You leave stuff on planes, trains.
Not me. She did.
No, I have a boat. You've never left anything on a boat.
No, I know. I should. I start leaving things on your boat.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, I just heard that in New York City, there's a brisk business. New York City cabbies, you'll never get your phone back because the cabbies, they drive up to a place where they give the phone to somebody, and the people don't want the phone to resell the phone. They want the phone for the personal information on the phone. So what the guys who pay, they'll give you $100 or whatever it is. They give you even more if the cabbie is smart enough to take, as soon as he finds a phone, take the battery out right away so that the phone can't be wiped. And then the bad guys, they get the phone and they get all your personal information on it. So I guess somebody has all my personal information because that Droid X was left in a cab in New York City.
Are you interested in buying it? because I have a
I'd like to buy my information back, please.
I can arrange that. I can arrange that.
That's why it's good to put that auto wipe thing on there where you can wipe your phone data. But, of course, that's why they pop the battery right away. So, Dick, thank you. We stick around. We're going to do the weekly daily Giz-Wiz in just a minute or two.
I'll be here.
All right. Meanwhile, let's continue on with the Tech Guy Show. I think we have time for one or two more calls, starting with Diana, who's been holding on for a long time in Burbank. Hi, Diana. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Purchased a Gateway notebook from a friend who was upgrading.
Okay.
$50.
Yeah, probably worth every penny, too.
It's flipping brilliant. It's wonderful. It's got like a 100 gig hard drive and 15.4 inch widescreen. I'm loving it. Now, my question is, I live in Burbank, but I don't live in downtown Burbank. And downtown Burbank has declared itself a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Oh, that's
So I
nice.
was wondering if there was something hopefully not too cheap and pretty easy that I could boost my Wi-Fi reception.
Well, how far are you away from a place where you can get Wi-Fi reception in Burbank?
Maybe 3/4 of a mile.
No, you can't do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Wi-Fi really only goes about 150 feet.
Feet?
Yeah. Wi-Fi is not notoriously long distance. Now, they do make special antennas that are directional that you could aim exactly at the Wi-Fi hotspot downtown and maybe get it, but it's expensive. It's not worth it. Not for a $100 laptop. So what you're probably going to end up doing is getting internet access. You could either get it in your house, or you could go out and buy a MiFi, which is a credit card-sized device. All the cell phone companies sell them: Verizon, Sprint, AT&T, and it's a Wi-Fi access spot that uses the cell phone data. And then that way you can wherever you go with this new Gateway laptop, you'll have a Wi-Fi access spot in your pocket.
Okay, never heard of that before. I'll check that out.
Probably the least expensive one is from Virgin Mobile.
Alrighty.
I think, what does Virgin Mobile cost? $30 or $40 a month? I mean, that's the cheapest. The AT&T, Verizon, Sprint ones are $60 a month.
Okay, doke.
And that's probably a good way to have kind of portable internet access wherever you go. Of course, when you're downtown, you can use the Burbank municipal Wi-Fi. But yeah, there's no good, easy way to get Wi-Fi from that great a distance, I'm afraid. Hey, I'm out of time. And thank you so much for the call, Diana. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you go to the website, techguylabs.com, for our schedule, more information, all our stations, and show notes, too. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it's time to talk tech. Yes, the computer and the internet and the cell phone and the camcorder and the MP3 player and the home theater and all that jazz and rigmarole. That's what I'm here to talk about right now at 8888 Ask Leo. If you've got a question, a comment, a suggestion, if you want to talk about something you just saw on the TV, on a home shopping network, should I buy that? You ask me, I'll tell you. 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere. I know I said that fast, but I'll tell you, if you can't remember it, you could just go to the website. This is all you have to remember, really, is techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. That's the website. We've got the show notes there for every show. This is episode 776 in a continuing series of answering the questions you have about technology. We were talking a little bit about, there was Windows 8 announcement this last week, and then next week, Apple's going to talk about their new operating system, Lion. I'm not lying. In fact, they put out a press release, which never happens. They said, yes, not only will Steve Jobs be speaking on Monday at the Worldwide Developers Conference, it's Apple's last kind of conference that they actually run and hold. They used to do Macworld Expo and CES and Comdex. No, they just do one thing a year, WWDC. So they're going to jam it full of all sorts of stuff. Steve will talk about OS X Lion, which probably won't be out, this week. It'll probably be out still in September, I would guess, in the fall. They'll talk about the next version of the iPhone and iPad operating system, iOS 5. And I expect some interesting things there. We don't know. We don't have a lot of clues as to what iOS 5 will hold. And Apple will talk about something they call iCloud. There've been lots of rumors about iCloud flying, but finally the Apple's admitted it. Yeah, we're doing iCloud. We'll tell you everything on Monday. So, what could that be? Well, probably a replacement for Mobile Me, which has been, frankly, a little disappointing. It's expensive. It's $100 a year, and it doesn't do as many things as a lot of other services out there do, including when you talk about music, Amazon's cloud service and Google's cloud service. iTunes is looking a little old compared to those now. You can't store your music in the cloud on the internet and play it back. Apple has apparently done deals with all 4 of the major record labels, which sounds to me, in fact, they say hundreds of millions of dollars spent. Sounds to me like Apple's iCloud will include some sort of music storage. You know what I'd like? And because I'd like it, I don't think it's going to happen. What I'd like is if Apple would let us, I don't know, just wave our CD at the computer and would say, yeah, I got that. You don't have to upload it. I got it. I'll take care of that. And your whole collection would be up there. You know, they could do that in iTunes. iTunes would just check, what do you got? Okay, it's all there. Because you know what you have to do with Google and Amazon? You have to upload the songs. It's because the music industry is very funny about piracy. They're not satisfied that you could just say, yeah, look, I can prove it. I have it. See? It's on the computer. Or, yeah, I have this CD. Let me put it in the disc. And see, I got it. I can prove it. See that? And no, they say, no, you have to upload it. There've been numerous court cases over this. So maybe with Apple paying some royalties, maybe Apple, this is what I suspect, and it may not happen right away, but I suspect iCloud will include a lot of things, perhaps online storage for iPad files, maybe some kind of common way of storing files on your Mac and your iPad and your iPhone so you can access them all. That'd be nice. Things like, Dropbox already does that. It'd be nice if they did that. Be really nice if they, stored your music. I think this is what they're going to do. They're going to say, if you buy a song on iTunes, we'll store it for you, just like Amazon does. If you buy it, if it's an iTunes song, all right, we'll store it for you. And you can download it, a few times, and you can play it from any iPhone or iPad, maybe from your Mac too, from iTunes. I think that's about it. It may come, it's basically like what Amazon did. It may come to pass that they offer some more services down the road. That's what the rumor is. But right now, I think that's all you're going to see. Now, the question is, are they going to charge $100 a year for this? Well, I've never seen Apple cut prices ever. Can you remember a single time Apple has cut prices? They don't lower prices. They give you more for your money, but they don't. I've never seen them lower prices. So seems unlikely that they. Well, some people say, "Oh no, this will be free." Maybe it'll be free. Maybe it'll be $29.99. I don't know. Yeah, okay, Baba in our chat room. He's saying, well, Snow Leopard was a lot cheaper. You're right. They did lower the price for Snow Leopard. It used to be $129 to get an operating system upgrade, and now it's this time it was only $30. So maybe it's possible. There's one. Can you think of another one? Hey, the MacBook Air. All right, you're right. But that's kind of it was kind of a up. All right, maybe they will. Maybe iCloud will be $30 or free. Or free for now. That's what Google and Amazon kind of do. Actually, Google's free for now. Amazon is kind of free, if sort of free. 5 gigs free and 20 gigs if you buy a song on the Amazon store. We'll see. Maybe they'll have free services, paid services. We'll see. We'll find out tomorrow. Meanwhile, Microsoft, I commend Microsoft. Microsoft said, we better, we're kind of falling behind here. Maybe we better do something with the next version of Windows. And they made it look a lot like the Windows Phone. It's going to be a touch interface, and it's got little sliding tiles like the Windows Phone does. Yeah, on your desktop. Underneath, you can slide it over. You can slide it over, and underneath will be Windows, 7, something like Windows 7. But what you'll see initially will be just these slidey tiles, and you tap stuff. Apple has already said we don't want to do that on the desktop because we think it's too. People will be reaching out their arms, and their arms will get tired. Microsoft says no, you can still use a mouse and a keyboard, but I have to ask, what's the point of a touch screen if you're using your mouse and your keyboard? I don't know if that's an improvement. I think the jury's still out on this one. I know a lot of Windows people are really excited, saying, finally, Microsoft, yeah, finally. But I have to say, you got to look at these companies. and really, at Google with Android and Microsoft with Windows 8 and Windows Phone 7 and say, boy, they're just kind of trying to copy Apple. And meanwhile, Apple with Lion, I think they're not going to go that far. I don't think they're going to turn Lion into a touch-based operating system. I think that's why Apple has two operating systems. They have a touch operating system, iOS. They're going to update that. And there may be some very interesting new features in that. But I don't see them updating. Well, we know kind of what they're doing with Lion because they've been putting out developer releases. Lion's going to have some interesting features. One of the features that's kind of like what Microsoft's doing is applications will be allowed to take over the screen, just go full screen, boom. And I guess that's because we're getting used to that now with iPad, right? When you run an app on iPad, it just takes over. In fact, you can't have multiple apps running on the iPad, really. You have to go from one to the other. But you don't have like one little window and another little window, do you? The iPad just uses it, whatever's running, uses up the screen. We're in a very interesting time. I think that one of the things I've been saying for the last couple of years is you're not going to see a lot of innovation. Operating systems are mature. They kind of know what they're doing now. There's not a lot of places they can go. All the innovation is going to happen in the portable space with phones and tablets. Maybe Microsoft's making some big strides, some big changes for its desktop operating system. Tomorrow we'll find out what Apple's up to. All right, you're right. An iPhone. They lowered the price of the iPhone. I take it back. Apple has lowered prices. They have. I admit it. They have. Maybe they will for iCloud. Maybe they will. Maybe iCloud will have, like, most of these services, like Dropbox, a free component where you get a certain amount of storage for free, and then if you want more, you pay for it. Maybe that's how they do it. We'll find out. If you want to join the chat room yelling and screaming at me and telling me that I've got it all wrong, you can. It's easy to do. Just go to techguylabs.com. You'll find the phone number there, 8888 Ask Leo. We go to the phones next. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. 888-827-5536. That's toll free inside the U.S. But, a great number of people listen to the show outside the U.S. Thanks to the internet. What a concept. So if you're listening outside the U.S., you can still call in. We love getting calls from all over the world. All you have to do is use Skype Out. And Skype Out will make a call free to a toll-free number in the U.S. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. Let's go to Culver City for our first call of the day. Jean is on the line. Hi, Jean.
Hi, Leo. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Thank you for calling.
Yes. I hired a web designer about 5 years ago to build a website. He used
How many
photos.
years ago?
About 5.
Okay.
And it was great.
Was the web around 5 years ago?
Repeat?
I'm sorry. I'm just joking. Was the web around 5 years ago? In web years, 5 years is like a century.
Yes. Well, he did a great job
Good.
century ago.
Yes.
And I was very satisfied.
Yes.
And
I hear a butt coming.
yes, a year ago, I got a bill from Getty Images for $875.
He used their pictures.
Yeah. And I was flabbergasted. So I called him. He says, disregard it. He says that they buy things up after people use them and then bill you for them.
Well, that's interesting.
That was his.
So his claim is that he used. Now the problem with that is,
Yes.
he used it, but does he have any evidence that he used it with permission?
No, I asked him, and he said that he's got a whole bunch of stuff, miscellaneous receipts.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. See, here's the problem. If that image were available to be used freely, and it's unlikely, but let's say, when I put images up on my on Flickr, for instance, I put a license on it. Here's the image, and on the license on the right, it says how you can use it. It says that you may use this for attribution, non-commercial share alike. In other words, for non-commercial use. It's interesting because I see Flickr also has a link. Want to license your photos through Getty Images. So I could, I guess, go to Getty and say, here, I'd like you to start selling this for me. But what he needs, and maybe you could write a letter to Getty and say, look, this image was used prior to your acquiring it. The problem is, as soon as they acquired it, they changed the license.
Apparently, it was at least 4 years after it was posted on my website that they came after me.
Right.
Yes.
Images. People in the Flickrverse request to license your images. Allow Getty to invite my photos. Please no link. No thanks. I don't want to. So this is something that's very easy to do on Flickr. So you know what? Maybe I'm going to give your webmaster, the designer, some credit here because he might actually. It sounds like maybe this is the case where he went to Flickr. He found an image like mine that says you can use this. It's very unlikely that it said you could. Is your site commercial?
It's my business.
Yes, so that's commercial. You make money on it.
Yes.
Yeah. So that makes it a little trickier. So you're making money on it. He would have to be using a picture that said you can use this in any case, anytime, anywhere without any credit or permission. That's rare. And he furthermore would have to, have some evidence of that. And then furthermore, as soon as Getty acquired it, and I presume that they did that and changed the license, then I don't know. I guess it's incumbent on you to license it from them, unless you have permission in perpetuity from the.
As soon as I got their letter, I got it off of there.
Good, but that doesn't matter because they want retroactive.
Yes.
I would write him a nice letter. I mean, it's only $800, which means it's certainly not worth hiring a lawyer because it'll cost you more in 2 hours than that.
Yeah.
You could. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so that's really, this is in the province of the lawyer. I think that's probably what happened, which was let's assume that your I think your web designer is a little out of line, to be honest. But let's say he'd need to show this to you. He got a letter from the creator of the photograph saying, yeah, you can use this forever, no problem. That'd let you off the hook. Otherwise, you can write a letter to Getty and say what happened. They might either reduce the amount or let you off the hook. You could take the designer to small claims courts, a small enough amount that you could try to get that money out of the designer. I mean, I think this is shame on Getty. I think if they license a photograph, then it's incumbent on them to tell the people who are using that photograph, hey, we changed the rules. But I think the real problem is unless your web designer can show that you had the rights to use that, you're kind of out of luck. Maybe this letter is the warning from Getty. Hey, by the way, give us $874.
Because that was a year ago.
Yeah.
Last week I got another letter.
I think the web designer saying to you, ignore it, is not good advice.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not a lawyer either, and I'm not a lawyer. I think you could probably go to sue the web designer in small claims court. I don't think it's worth it for that kind of money, but you could. It's a small enough amount that you can go to small claims court. That means you don't need a lawyer. But I think that maybe you should call Bill Handel, get some legal advice on this, because I'm not a lawyer, and that's really the issue. Just the rules in general are you can't just use an image that somebody else created.
I can understand that, yes, and that.
Unless, the designer bought, the problem is you didn't know, and how would you know? Many designers buy images, collections of images that can be used royalty-free.
Yes.
And I think it's a reasonable presumption. This is a good lesson, by the way, for anybody who's getting designs done. If you see an image in there, make sure that they either have the license to that or it's a royalty-free image or they somehow have, talked to the creator of it. Because reasonably, the person who took the picture says, well, wait a minute, you just used that picture on your website. It'd be one thing if it wasn't a business, but it's a business.
Uh-huh.
Think of the other side of it. There's what is the image of? Is it of a person?
It's of a field with flowers.
So whoever took that picture has been selling it as stock photography. Maybe not when your designer used it 5 years ago, but ever since. At some point, they changed that.
Yeah.
And $874 actually isn't that much for 5 years use, believe it or not.
Oh,
I know, it's a lot for you, especially unexpectedly. Yeah, but I don't know what your recourse is. And it's not enough money to say, let me go consult an attorney. I would say what I would do is write a letter to Getty and say, what can I do here? If you could find out whose image it was, you could write to them and say, hey, did you offer this image license-free, royalty-free 5 years ago? Could you write me a letter that says that? I think you're kind of out of luck otherwise. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Home Theater Time, Scott Wilkinson is here. He's my personal home theater guru. Editor-in-chief of the Ultimate AV Magazine, ultimateavmag.com, and a columnist at Home Theater Magazine. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
It's good. Welcome. I haven't told you this, but next week, can you do the show?
Oh, darn. I think I'm busy. No,
it would be great if you could.
Of course I can. I'm so happy.
I did this last year, and it was really fun. It's something called Foo Camp.
You know, you've mentioned that, and I don't know what the heck it is.
Yeah, Foo Camp. Foo stands for Friends of O'Reilly. O'Reilly publishes those tech books. They're just up the road a bit in Sebastopol.
Oh, nice place.
And they have a camp every year of about 400 or 500 interesting people. It's invitation only. You have to be somebody that O'Reilly thinks of as a friend and somebody who has something to offer, and they all get together. It was the first unconference, so we all just get together. We camp out on the lawn there at O'Reilly, and then anybody who wants to do a seminar can. And so there's all these interesting people, interesting seminars, and I just love doing it. But unfortunately, it's on the weekend. See, most people, it turns out, I didn't know this, most people have Saturday and Sunday off.
Yeah, what a concept.
Yeah, wow. So, I keep missing things because they do it on the weekends. So this time I'm going to take the weekend off, and but I know people love having you on. You filled in for me when I was on the cruise in February, so thank you.
I'm so happy to do it, and that camp sounds really great. You actually have like tent cabins in the woods and that kind of stuff?
It's actually on the lawn of the O'Reilly offices, and you bring your own tent.
Oh, exactly.
It's or some people sleep in the offices. I bring a tent.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
And then they have a little campfire. It's kind of and Sebastopol's a little rural, so it's not.
Wow, I hope somebody brings a guitar. And, you can.
They bring guitars,
that kind of stuff.
And because it's like kind of geeky people, they don't just bring guitars. Last year they brought a Van de Graaff generator and fried marshmallows with it. That was cool. And when I say fry, I mean fried, not toasted, fried.
No.
I started to shoot
in about a millisecond.
Yeah, because it's like a million volts. I started to shoot it with my iPhone and they said don't get so close because apparently the spark would jump off from the generator to my iPhone.
Oh man,
frying me.
Yeah,
so
right.
or at least the phone. So they said maybe not so close. So it's fun. It's an adventure.
Well,
you never know what's going to happen.
That just sounds great. And I envy you that, but I'm very happy to fill in for you on Sunday. I'm going to go over to the studio here in L.A. And,
thank you.
Kyle's going to be the board op. I'm really sad that Luis is leaving, but
who's Luis?
Oh, soon they forget.
Luis who? No, I haven't said anything yet, but this is Luis Oliveira's last day with us. He's our wonderful board op. Has been for how many years have you been here, Luis? 4? 3?
For Premier, 4.5.
4.5 years working for Premier Radio
years.
Networks, and he's going back to college, which is a good thing. I encourage
That's
all.
a very good thing. Yes,
he's only
absolutely.
like 18. I know, he started when he was 12, so I think it's about time he got an education. This is not a living for any human. So thank you, Luis, for doing such a great job. Yeah, you won't see Luis. You'll see Kyle Benham, but
okay. And Kyle's fine. He's a great guy and does great music. But,
he's okay.
He's okay, I guess.
He's no Luis. Anyway, enough of that. Let's talk home theater.
Enough of that. Yes, I heard the call yesterday. Somebody actually went down to the show, THE show.
Thanks to your plug.
Thanks to my plug. And he discovered, as I wish I had made more of a point of, that it's typically a very high-end product that they're showing down there.
Yeah.
$100,000 speakers, $20,000 speakers, and so on. And they're in a hotel room, which he pointed out. You get 5 or 10 people in a hotel room.
It's a lot of
and
people.
It gets pretty hot and smelly in there.
He was in the mood for kind of a mid-range home theater audio system, and I steered him towards the Onkyo home theater in a box, which probably wasn't there. He said the Rogers guys sounded really good, but I didn't ask him. But I bet those.
I didn't get into the Rogers Sound Lab room, unfortunately, and your advice was very good. To get a home theater in a box, and the Onkyo is an excellent choice. The one thing the Onkyo systems typically don't have is a built-in Blu-ray player.
And I gathered from him he already had that part.
If he already had a Blu-ray player, then the Onkyo is a perfect system for him.
Yeah, home theater in a box means different things. I mean, in the old days, it meant a Blu-ray player, which had a built-in amplifier for the 5.1 surround. But nowadays, it may or may not include a Blu-ray player. It may just be an amp. And
in most cases, it does. Yeah. But in the case of the Onkyo, it doesn't. Now, I wanted to point out that at the show, which is still going on today, if anybody wants to hop over to Newport Beach, the Orange County Airport Hilton, there's one room where they have a very modestly priced system that is pretty good. It's not a home theater in a box. The speaker system is from a company called Golden Ears.
Well, that's got to be good.
It's got to be good. Well, the guy behind Golden Ear is a guy named Sandy Gross, and he's actually been a guest on my podcast.
Home Theater Geeks, Mondays, 1:30 Pacific on TWiT. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for that. Anyway, he's a legendary speaker designer. He started Polk Audio. He started Definitive Technology. These are very, very good speaker brands. And then now he's off on his next project, which is Golden Ear. And his goal is to make really high-quality, good-sounding speakers that are very affordable. And so in this room at the show, THE show, is this Golden Ear system called the SuperSat 3, I believe. It's a tiny little satellite speaker, 5 of them arrayed around the room with a little 8-inch subwoofer or so. I don't remember what the price on that is. It's probably in the $1,000 range. With an Onkyo receiver. We were talking about Onkyo.
So that's the whole thing for $1,000.
Yeah, roughly.
Is that what when we say mid-range? Is that the price we're talking about for a home theater in the box? Is $1,000?
Yeah. I would say that's a good price to expect to pay for a reasonable home theater in a box.
You once told me that if you should spend as much as you spend on the TV on the audio. Is that what you said?
Well. That is one way to look at it.
So that's like $3,000. $1,000. I'm getting. What am I getting? A rinky-dink, tinny sounding?
No. For one thing, TVs these days, yes, you can spend $3,000 on a TV easily, but you don't have to. You can get a pretty good TV these days for, I'd say, $1,500 to $2,000. So
that's true. They've gotten much less expensive.
They've gotten much less expensive. So if you spend that kind of money, say between $1,000 and $2,000 on an audio system, it's going to be okay. It can be okay. Spending that kind of money doesn't guarantee you're going to get a good system. Just like spending $20,000 on an audio doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to get a great sounding.
Yeah, on the other hand, if you spend $20,000 and you don't, you feel much worse than you've only spent $1,000.
Or you convince yourself that it really sounds great.
Wow, this is good. That's why you spend $20,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is my theory about super expensive cables. People who spend $20,000 on a pair of speaker cables. It's got to sound better than zip cord.
It's a placebo effect.
Exactly.
Scott is editor-in-chief at the Ultimate AV Magazine, and he, good news, he's going to be here for 3 hours next week.
3 hours on Sunday. Can't wait. It's going to be great.
You can get him some questions ahead of time if you want. Scott at techguylabs.com. You can also visit his Q&A column on the Home Theater Magazine, hometheatermag.com.
And Ultimate AV Mag as well.
You got a poll this week?
I do have a poll this week. You might not like it that much. It's, do you own a 3D TV?
No, I think it's a good question. I talked yesterday about a New York Times article saying that the Hollywood was getting a little disappointed by box office. Fewer than half of the tickets sold for Pirates were for 3D.
That's very interesting.
Fewer than...
Considering that it was really hyped for 3D.
Yeah. So,
Could we be reaching the end?
Could be.
Could be.
We'll find out next week. Scott Wilkinson, thanks. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yes, it's The end of an era. Luis Oliveira heading off into the sunset, getting his education. What are you going to study, Luis?
Leo, I've been in school for the past 3 years.
He's been going to school for the past 3 years.
I'm doing mechanical engineering.
So mechanical engineering. This will be you'll focus full time so you can get it over with.
Yeah, it's my just upper division classes.
Yeah, the higher level classes, you got to spend more brain
I plan on
power.
working at JPL when I come back.
Can't waste any gray cells on this show. No more of that. You need all of them for the mechanical engineering. He wants to work at JPL. Isn't that cool? That's really cool. Well, good luck, Luis. It's really it's been so much fun working with you. Luis is
thanks, Leo.
My right-hand man in the studio. I got to say that. Gino Salvati is off today, right? It's Aaron on the phones?
Yep, Aaron on the phones.
And we'll get back to the phones right now with Bruce in Rhode Island. My buddy. Hey, Bruce.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
I am great. Welcome to the show. What can I do for you today?
Thank you so much. Before I get to my question, I have to thank you because I was looking for an app. I had a need, and it wasn't on the iTunes store. And because of your encouragement with other people, I decided to design it myself.
Wow.
And now I have it on the iTunes store.
You're kidding. Well, that was fast.
No, and I'm making tens of dollars. So
now, did you hire a programmer?
what happened was I'm a professional magician, and I needed something. And so I found somebody who worked with me, and I did the design, and he did the programming, and we had a ball. And in 4 weeks, we put together this app, and it's selling very well, and people are thrilled with it. Entertainers love it. So,
well, what's the name of it? Let's give it a plug.
So I can make 20s of dollars.
20s?
Right?
Well, I wouldn't even count on that. 11s of dollars.
11s of dollars. Okay. It's called Magic Gig Slips.
Magic Gig Slips. And it's for keeping track of your gigs?
Well, when somebody calls for a show, you write out a show slip with all the information. So on my iPad now, I can write the information, and with one click of a button, it sends out the contract to the person. It sends out a copy of the slip to me. It sends out, it gives me map directions on how to get to the show.
That is so cool. Now it's very specialized. So you're right. You're probably not gonna. Now I see it's got great reviews. But it's so specialized. I don't know if you're gonna sell millions of these. On the other hand, you solved the problem for yourself, and this is it's very interesting. In the old days, I remember talking to computer whiz folks who would say, "Oh well, even today they say this. In my day, if you needed a program, you'd write it yourself. Now kids today, they're so spoiled. They use all this out of the canned software." This looks really cool, Bruce. I got to say, very impressive. A simple app, but it gets the job done.
Yeah, and I wrote it for magicians, but now bands are using it, and I'm getting all sorts of great letters from it, so I'm really happy. Thanks for your encouragement.
I think this is one issue, by the way, that I think people, there's how many, 400,000, 500,000 apps now? How do you, discovery is an issue. Even if you were a magician, how would you know this existed? You're not going to search for magic gigs.
No, but, one of the keywords is magic, and hopefully they stumble across it. But people are finding it, and I'm really, really excited and happy about it. So I've got 2 more apps that I'm working on, so I'm really happy.
Fantastic. Well done, Bruce. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But I also have a question for you now.
Yes, sir.
My iPad, which I absolutely love, I hardly use my laptop anymore because the iPad does everything I need.
Now, I want to highlight that because we get a lot of calls. We got a call yesterday from a 70-year-old guy who really wanted a Windows computer. And, consider an iPad, folks. If all he wanted to do is email and surfing, it's perfect for it. Why buy something much more complex when really that's all you need?
Write columns for a magazine on this thing.
Wow.
I do everything on my iPad. I only use my laptop to sync it. That's it.
Yeah.
So my question is, sometimes on websites when I download a PDF or a file or a picture or whatever, it goes to the iPad, but I don't know where it goes.
Yeah, this is an issue, I have to say. The problem is you're a computer user, so you expect a file system and something like Explorer or the Finder, some way of browsing the file system. And the iPad doesn't do that. That's one of the ways it makes things simpler. Each app can have its own files. When you sync it up to iTunes, if the app says so, you can look in iTunes and go to the Apps tab in iTunes, and you can see files associated with that app so that you can copy them off. But really, it's not designed for creating a file, having it on the file system, saying, there's the file, let's open it with this, let's open it with that. It's not designed to do that. Now, if it's PDFs, I would suggest a program called Goodreader. That's a really great PDF reader, and anything that can download a PDF, well, then you'll be able to send it to Goodreader.
Oh, I see, directly to Goodreader.
Yeah, and that's kind of how you have to do it on the iPad. You can't just say, oh, there's a file on here, I want to open it with any arbitrary program. You have to open it with, the program that created it, or a program that, it knows about, but you can't, there's no file system. I mean, there is, obviously, but...
Okay. So if the file now, I've downloaded it, and it's on there, and I have Goodreader, will Goodreader look for it?
No, what you'll have to do is you'll see you'll see it in Safari. So you download it in Safari, and then you will say open with Goodreader.
I gotcha. Okay.
It's a $5 program just like yours, and there are lots of programs that do this, but this is, I think, the best one for reading PDFs. It reads other file formats as well, but not all file formats. Part of this is security as well. I mean, one of the things that gets people in trouble on computers is downloading arbitrary programs and files and messing with them. That's how malware gets on your system. So this is a security thing as well as a complexity thing. That's the problem with the iPad. We know it's a computer. There's a CPU, there's memory, there's even storage in a file system, but it's hidden from the user. The whole point of the iPad is the user sees this simple, benign interface and doesn't have to think about files. What is a file? I don't know. You don't need to know. And I have to say, there are many users for whom that is fine. I look at my wife. I gave my wife has a laptop, and she wanted to do email. And every once in a while, I have to go to her computer and close Windows because she doesn't understand that there's windows that are open. And then when I get to I did this once for her, and I closed all the windows, shut down all the programs. They'd all been running. She never closes a program. Everything you open it, it's still running. And then I got to it, and there's the desktop. She said, "What's that?" I said, "Well, that's what's behind all those windows. That's your." Oh, I never saw that before. No, because you. So. Then she started using the iPad, and she's much happier because the iPad, there is no desktop. There are no icons on the desktop. There are no windows. You run a program. When you're done with it, you run a different program. It makes much more sense to her, and a lot of the complexity that can confuse and get her in trouble is gone. You only have problems when you're a computer user and you go to the iPad, and then you go, well, where's my desktop? My wife has never in her life said, where's my desktop? She said, what's that? And I think so. This is where I think if you've never used a computer before and you just want surfing and email, this is a good choice. And the chat room says, "Oh, here he goes again, the cult of the iPad." Look there's plenty of people like Bruce. I hear him all the time who say, "Yeah, my wife, my father-in-law, my mom," who say, "Oh, this is so much better. Why didn't they come out with this before?" I think it's the Mac that Steve Jobs wanted to design, simple, out of the way. And yet we as computer users, we say, well, what's the CPU in there? How much RAM does it have? How much storage does it have? Where's the file system? How can I copy files in and out? Those aren't things other normal people worry about. And I think that's the difference right there. We're going to take a break. Thank you for the call, Bruce. Congratulations on Magic Gig Slips. That's cool. Dave's coming up in Hollywood. He wants ebook options. Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here. I'll pause that video. We're watching video in the break. Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. What do geeks talk about when they're not talking tech? Coffee. Coffee. Yeah. Coffee. We're talking about the best way to make coffee. Different techniques. And we were watching this video. This is an interesting device. It's called the MyPressi, MyPressi.com. MyPressi Twist. It's a little portable espresso machine. Well, I'll give it a try. Anything to drink more coffee. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number, 888-827-5536. You can find that phone number and all the information about this show and every show we've done, going back 775 episodes on techguylabs.com. And you know, that's not even the whole thing. That's just all the ones that we've got records for. That only goes back to 2004. I've been doing this show since 1991. Fortunately, no recordings exist of that old show. We've started, the modern era started in 2004. That's the post-KFI, or the began with KFI era. TechGuyLabs.com website, phone number is there, chat room is there, previous shows, all the audio, show notes and everything. And thanks to James DeRufo for writing all this stuff down. Yeah, but you can just call in. We always love getting the calls. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number to call. Dave in Hollywood. Thanks for hanging on, Dave. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. It's a beautiful sunny day here today.
I'm jealous, although the good news is I'm flying to L.A. tonight for the big E3 Gaming Expo. So it's been raining in Northern California, so I guess I'm flying to the sun. I'm so happy to hear that.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
To provide sun for the rest of the country.
It's always sunny in L.A.
That's correct. Leo, I wrote a book, an e-book, which I published on ClickBank about a year ago, and it did okay on ClickBank, and sales, I was selling it at $40, and sales began to wane a bit, so I said, I'm going to try it on Kindle. So I put it on Kindle, and I priced it at $9.99, and that seemed to work pretty good. And then I read somewhere that you can actually make more money if you price it cheaper, so I changed it to $2.99, and it's been doing pretty good. I've been making $100 or $200 a month from it. So now I'm thinking, aside from thinking that, boy, I should write more books and put them on Kindle, but I'm just wondering about, am I obligated to Kindle to only keep it on Kindle? Can I put it on Barnes & Noble? Can I put it on...
Oh, that's an interesting question. I don't, you'd have to look at the agreement. I don't think so. I mean, if I buy a book from Random House on Amazon, it doesn't preclude me from buying it from Barnes & Noble. So I can't imagine that they'd make that restriction.
Okay, so I should be able to get it on those other things.
Yeah, the good news is Amazon Kindle uses, as you know, a format called Mobi, M-O-B-I, which is Amazon's own proprietary format. But they've already announced that they're going to move to EPUB. And that's really good news because EPUB is the standard for everybody. It's going forward, all electronically published books will be in EPUB format. And that means there'll be support for it on the Kindle, on the Barnes & Noble Nook, all of that. So you'll make one copy, one electronic copy, and then you'll be able to sell it everywhere.
Excellent.
What's your book about, Dave?
It's about inflation. It's called How to Protect Your Money from the Coming Government Hyperinflation. And
I think that it would sell very well, especially at $1.99. The people who would buy that book, I think, would be probably price sensitive.
Could be price sensitive. Certainly, when I lowered the price, I got more sales. So
that's interesting. I think that's a great data point. The nice thing about an ebook is you get more of the money. If you publish that in a traditional form, you might get $1.50, $2 per copy, but now you get 70% of whatever price you set.
Well, I did a book on computers 20 years ago, Leo, called The Computer Printer Primer, and I got like a $5,000 advance, but I figure if I make a couple $100 a month for a couple of years,
right.
I mean, it's going to equal that. So
yeah, I've written 13 computer books, and the advance is all you'll ever see. You're lucky if you make the advance back. It's just, it's people have this notion because they hear about Danielle Steele that you're going to become rich writing books. Very few people make much money. Being a book author is not a good way to make a lot of money. You do it for other reasons. Now, I think that is changing with EPUB. And the good news about electronic publishing is you control it. You own more of it. You don't have to give a chunk to the publisher. The bad news is, and this is really the challenge here, Dave, in my opinion, you've got to market it. That book is not going to, I think it's less price sensitive and more marketing sensitive.
I do run on Amazon, not Amazon, Google. I run ads.
That's a good idea.
Inflation, hyperinflation. It sends them to Kindle, and
If you could get on CNBC or Jim Cramer, Mad Money, you get on one show once, you'd sell 100,000 copies.
Yow.
You should, what I would do is I would start. What you want to do is get the word out, and not just that's nice. The Google's nice because people are searching for I don't know what keywords you bought, hyperinflation maybe or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I think what you want to do is do the same. The publishers for years. Publishers did certain things to publicize a book. They do author tours. You get on the local radio. You can do that by phone. Lots of small town radio stations would love to get an author interview. You're very topical. That helps.
I think so. I mean, that's why I wrote the book anticipating what's going on now, and you can kind of get it.
Your timing couldn't be better. Send copies to people like Neil Cavuto. Get stuff out there, and you get one booking, the thing can snowball because then everybody looks and sees who you've been on Jim. Oh, well, that's different. Let's get you on. Start with radio, build your way up. You don't need to hire a publicist. A publicist would know how to do it, but you could do it yourself. And given that you're only making $1.99, you probably should do it yourself.
Right. I have one other question. There's a service called Book Baby. I think it's a spinoff of CD Baby.
Right.
And apparently, I think they act as a middleman. You pay them like $100, and they get your book up on Barnes and Noble.
I don't think you could try that, but I don't know if you need that. I think you can get it on yourself. You know where I would look at is a site called CreateSpace.com. This is Amazon's self-publishing site, and they actually do paper books as well. Remember that in your group there will be people who don't do ebooks.
Right.
Wouldn't you like to get to them? Well, you would like to do it for no cost. So these guys, it's print on demand. So you set it up. It's free. They do have paid services, including marketing services, but you can set it up for free. And then people can order it through Amazon, not only on Kindle, but they can order paper. And I bet you'd sell. It's going to cost $15.99 or something because you got to print it. But I think there's people going to do that too. So this is called CreateSpace.com. I've mentioned Lulu in the past. That's another site, Lulu.com. But CreateSpace is pretty interesting. I think I would browse around. I think all of these guys, including Amazon's own CreateSpace, can get your ebook everywhere. I don't think you need to go to Book Baby.
Okay. Great. I think I actually got an on-demand book. I was researching some very obscure topic, and I saw it on Kindle, and they sent it to me, and it looked like it was something they had reprinted.
Could be, although the on-demand books can look exactly like a real book. They're very high quality. You don't necessarily feel like, oh, this is something somebody printed on his laser printer.
No. I mean, it was high quality, but it was a book from the 1890s, and they had obviously just photographed the pages.
Interesting. That could well be. Yeah. Probably it was in the public domain way back then. Hey, Dave, good luck with your book. I think that sounds like a great topic. We'll put a link in our show notes. Maybe that'll help. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, my goodness. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number. Addie is on the line from London, England. Addie, welcome. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hello, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm all right.
What can I do for you?
Bleep.
Here's the thing. I have decided to make the switch from my Windows PC to a Mac. Here was that now.
And the angels wept. At least the ones in Redmond wept. The people in Cupertino are cheering right now. Isn't it funny what a momentous thing that is? But I guess it is in your life. I mean, it is somewhat of a change.
Yeah, it's because it kind of reminds me of when I had a PC way back in like the early 90s running Windows 3.11. Oh my God, those were the days.
Not in a good way. It was nice, though. You could always drop into DOS. I did enjoy that. I'm a command line guy, I've discovered. Maybe it's because I'm an old guy, but one of the reasons I use a Mac is because you've got this Unix command line available to you. And every once in a while, you just want to drop into that and fire up a bash script, and whoo, it feels good.
True.
So what can I do to help you in this momentous transition?
Well, I'm just trying to, it's not enough already. Sorry for my language.
That's all right. I didn't hear it because, fortunately, Skype broke up. No, try to. Here in the States, we have all sorts of rules about the language. I'm sure you didn't say anything bad, but what can I do to help you?
Well, what I want to do is, I've heard about this little doohickey called Time Machine on the Mac, and I want to set that up in such a way so that it sends the backups to the Time Machine backups to my Windows box.
Nope. Can't do it. Can't do it. One of the things you're going to discover as a Windows user, you're used to a lot more flexibility. It's really almost a philosophy. If there's a big difference between Windows and Mac, it is the philosophy that Apple came up with really very early on, back in 1984, with their human interface guidelines, really at the very beginning. And Apple, it's a philosophy of user interface design that says there should be exactly one way to do something. They called it, believe it or not, monotony. That there should be one way to close a window is actually not true anymore. We've kind of drifted away from that. But in the early days of the Mac, there should be one way to run a program. There should be one way to do everything. Reason being, humans learn pathways in their brain of how to do something, and you don't want to confuse them by giving multiple pathways. You want to have, this is how you do it. And they can learn it that way faster, and so it'll be easier to use. That's what it was all about in the early days. Unfortunately, monotony as a concept has kind of died on the Mac. You can close a window by clicking in the close box or by doing Control or Command W, just as you can on Windows. They've been very influenced by Windows. And so we've lost the benefit of monotony without losing the kind of tyrannical attitude that we know best. Our way or the highway. We kept the bad part of this philosophy and lost the good part. So if there is a difference now between Windows and Macintosh, it is that Apple really feels it knows what's best for you. Apple really feels its way is the best way. And if you want to do something different, well, sorry, you should buy something else. Steve Jobs even said that. He said, you have a choice. When he's talking about iOS, he's talking about the iPhone. He said, you have a choice. You don't have to buy it. That's your choice. But if you buy our product, you're going to use it our way. Time Machine is a very good example of this. Time Machine is easy to use. It's a backup solution that people find simple. It's designed for mom and dad and grandma and grandpa and people who aren't, computer geeks. So it does what it says it's going to do. It does it in a beautiful way and very straightforward way, but it doesn't have a lot of flexibility. Now, the good news is it doesn't matter because on the Mac, there are other backup solutions. Just don't expect to be able to bend Time Machine to your will. Things like backing up to something besides a time capsule or an external hard drive, well, forget it. That ain't going to happen. You can't back it up to a network drive. However, there are plenty of programs you can back up that let you back up to external drives. You can always use a command line, as Lloyd's Elpon is saying in our chat room, then do rsync. That's a Unix utility. More likely, you'll use something like SuperDuper or ChronoSync. These are two shareware or third-party programs available on the app on the Mac that let you back up to arbitrary external drives, even network drives. I do this all the time on all of my Macs. I have a program called ChronoSync I really like. It's running on all my Macs, and it backs up critical data to a network drive. It's actually network-attached storage, but it could be a Windows machine with a drive, as long as it's visible on the network. And it does that on a schedule. It does it periodically, and it's nice because I have a central backup. All the music's backed up there. All the videos are backed up there. And I did that for one reason, because I had bought a lot of music, and my kids decided to buy it again. I was wasting a lot of money on iTunes buying 2 or 3 copies of the same record. So I finally said, hey, kids, all the music's on the central server. Look there first. Look at that first. So I think what you're going to see, Addie, is that you can't come to Macintosh with your Windows mindset. That, and I can, Windows, there's 20 ways to do everything. There's always a workaround. There's always a way to modify it. Windows really is designed for people who like to do that. Apple's philosophy from day one was to make a computer, remember the ad slogan, for the rest of us. And so as a result, they don't offer the same kind of flexibility. You can't change the font in the menu bar. You can't, there are just limits to what you can do. I personally never use Time Machine for that reason. It's just too inflexible. It's a great solution for people who don't know anything about backup, but it's just too inflexible. So what will happen initially is you're going to be a little frustrated. You're going to say, well, wait a minute, I want to do this, I want to do that. Why can't I do that? But what you'll learn in time is what most geeky Mac users have learned is that there are ways and ways, and you can get around it. It's just that the stuff that Apple exposes to the end user is very kind of narrow, and that's intentional. That's intentional. If you look around, if you look at the geek community, mostly they own Macs. A lot of people own Macs. So don't feel like it's not going to suit your needs, because it is Unix. It is absolutely geeky. Alex Santos says in the chat room, I just don't think you know how to use Time Machine, so you brush it aside. I disagree with you. It's very flexible and works great. Well, it was designed for you, Alex. It was designed for somebody who buys an external hard drive, plugs it in, and says, Time Machine, do it. Wait till you have a crash, then you talk to me, Alex. Wait till you need to restore from Time Machine, then you talk to me. I know a lot about Time Machine. I wouldn't use it. And that's just my advice. And Addie, I think you should stick with a third-party program. Super Duper is free and excellent. Every Mac user should have Super Duper, and I find ChronoSync really excellent. It uses rsync. It's basically an rsync front end, and rsync is the king of backup utilities. Hey, it's great to hear you're listening in the UK. Thank you so much for your call. I appreciate it. You can Skype to us from anywhere in the world. Just use Skype out to 8888 Ask Leo. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.